And we're live. Hello and welcome. The 87th episode of Game Theory Gang. I'm Maddie Allen with ChrispyMan of Hexfire.io. Welcome.
Woohoo. Thanks, Maddie, for asking me to join you. Here I am.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to have a great show tonight. So make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, share this out. And, our gang is looking a little bit thin tonight, but that's because Tobiwan couldn't make it, so I'm sending my best wishes his way. And of course, we still have Brisology that is out. So looking forward to a great show tonight. And we'll see if we have any special guests pop in during the stream. But I think even though the thumbnail says that we're announcing the 4th annual hexconference.com, that's pretty big news, but that won't be the only topic that we'll cover tonight. I think we're going to cover a lot tonight.
Nice. I'm looking at some information. Yes, I'm pretty excited right now. Yeah, we probably should talk about all the news too that's going on. I think
Absolutely.
we need to remind people to stick to your plans. Stick to your plans. Not financial advice, but if you're going to get fudded, this is the time to do it. High FUD. And
who's getting fudded?
Well, that's why it's good to talk about it sometimes. To mention to people that, hey, everybody's feeling it. Lots of potential changes.
What do you mean,
right?
short-term people?
Yeah, but even long-term people sometimes get shocked, right?
For sure. Well,
yeah.
One thing that'll brighten people's minds here is the 4th annual hexconference.com. This is the conference with the most YouTubers in crypto. And that's the tagline this year. I did a save the date announcement on Twitter, aka X, and that's for the same dates as always. This will be the 4th year. We're doing January 6th through 9th. So that's a 4-day conference. Typically, the sessions are in the evening after people get off work and last about 6 hours until midnight Central Time. And it's going to be quite the show this year. Every year, we tend to outdo ourselves. And so I think this year will be no different. And just the amount of activity on the tweet and everything shows me that people are ready to hear from everyone. It's exciting.
Exciting stuff. I know I've already started working on the presentation.
Cool. Yeah. Well, you and Abid and Patrick have the longest running presentation that really has always been data driven and gives people a look into the future of how the future market supply of TShares is going to look in the future. So I know that that's one of my favorite talks.
I think that's part of what's been giving me a little bit of jab as talking to you for a moment in the green room about looking into the future. Maybe we'll get to that during this stream, because I think I've identified the top whales for 2039 right now.
Ooh,
I know who they're going to be.
Yes. Don't even have to fire up the DeLorean and waste a bunch of plutonium, eh?
Hey, no plutonium. No plutonium.
Well, lots of people have already signed up to speak. If you've spoken before, check your DMs on Twitter and or Telegram, and I would have messaged you one of those two places. As always, there's a short 3-minute survey that you'll fill out as a speaker. If you read the fine details at hexconference.com, you can sign up to speak even if you haven't spoken before. And I think the smallest number of people in the last 2 or 3 years that we've had is like 60 people speak at one of the conferences, Hex or Pulsechain, that I've put on online. But I expect this year we'll get over 100. So something to look forward to.
Yeah, and people shouldn't get butthurt if they didn't get get an invitation. If you're interested, you should contact Maddie.
Correct. Yeah, I sent out over 150, so I definitely could have missed somebody unintentionally. So definitely look for that and get excited, because this is one of the biggest assets that Hex has, I think, is the community, and the fact that so many people get on and show their faces and contribute something to the YouTubing space. It's incredible. It's unmatched in any other crypto, including Bitcoin. The view numbers that we get from conferences are also comparable to Bitcoin, even though 100x less people know about Hex, maybe even fewer than that. And so it's our time to shine for sure. And I'm planning a few surprises that'll be announced before the conference, but for the past week, I've reviewed about 168 hours of previous conferences so that I can make sure to put something special together for people. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think this is another, particularly with all the current times where things are all mixed up, and we've got all the stuff happening. It's good to have that consistency. The conference, and that people will have an opportunity to participate, learn, watch.
That's right. Yeah. Even when I was severely injured last year and wasn't allowed by my doctors to even lift up a laptop, I still still did the conference on the same days. So yeah, it'll be hard to stop us.
Mhm.
So that's all that we have for now on the conference. The schedule will be put together once everybody signs up to speak, and so far that's looking really good. So more announcements to come in the future, but yeah, we can move on to other topics in crypto. Probably the biggest news today in crypto is that Binance got settled on by the SEC and the DOJ. Did you hear about this?
I did. People been talking about this all day long.
This was over a $4 billion settlement, and apparently did not include, um, any kind of exception for CZ. He can still be personally prosecuted by the DOJ, according to what I read. But simply just Binance themselves, which is the largest crypto exchange in the world, I believe. They got fined for not doing KYC, not doing know your customer, not stopping money laundering. Basically, they got fined over $4 billion, and they settled. And
Mhm.
CZ stepped down as CEO.
Yep. Yeah, that was kind of surprising to me, but maybe not to people who are following everything, pretty closely. A lot of conjecture about why and what's going on, of course, right? And then some people are really pretty upset about it, in that it feels like more than crypto can stand, but I think it's resilient.
I can't say that I ever liked Binance. I know some people do. I know Sami likes Binance and thinks that they're solvent. Other people don't think that an exchange that's so opaque, it can really claim to be solvent. Um, but at the end of the day, not your keys, not your coins, eh?
Mhm.
So that's kind of interesting. You know, the the joke ought to be that that CZ is going to go work at Microsoft now.
Well, what he said he was going to do is work on passively, and from the background, work on more DeFi. He
Hmm.
did say that he wasn't interested in his response. He did say he wasn't interested in being a new startup CEO or anything like that, but he did say he was interested, you know, and continuing anyways.
Do you think that they based the number of $1 billion to settle on based on his meme of holding up the number 4?
I have no idea, my friend. No idea.
Could have been.
I don't know. I mean, from I don't know if this is accurate or true, right? But I mean, it's widely been reported that Binance might have been a key factor in FTX, right, going down.
Ooh,
And
yeah, that was
and
juicy.
and so some people think that it's maybe this is verges on conspiracies, but that it's payback for that. And who knows? Maybe those funds, if they do indeed pay $4 billion, those funds might be used to make victims of Sam Bankman-Fried whole. Maybe that's supposedly what some of that money goes to, is to
Wow.
fight fraud and help people that were affected by fraud. So
Well,
I've read on the internet.
yeah, if FTX holders don't end up making a giant profit from the $1 billion that got put into Anthropic, the world's second leading AI firm, yeah, that it's interesting to be an FTX holder because you'd be due a lot of different proceeds. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and hopefully for people who did lose their money, they'll get it back, and hopefully for people who are holding crypto, Binance doesn't pay in Bitcoin, and then the U.S. government dumps the price $4 billion.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen as well. But
But I guess if you're Binance and if you have crypto and if you have dollars, you'd probably prefer to pay in dollars because they are less liquid in the sense of like moving coins freely.
yeah, quite possible. Quite possible. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. Well,
We should have CZ on the show and ask him what he's going to do with his life.
we could ask him.
Yeah.
Right? Send him a note. He's
Well,
got a lot of
no. He blocked me on Twitter because I put out a clever tweet once. It wasn't even against him. He just copied somebody into a clever tweet, and so I copied him, and he didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
But oh well. Maybe somebody else can reach out to him and set up the interview.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot of free time. That's what I heard. Said he hadn't taken a day off without a phone for 6 years. So
Really?
yeah, I'm hanging on
what to do with himself.
I'm hanging on every word in his X post.
Mm.
Not really. So yeah. I mean, and so some people think this is big enough, combined with the most recent announcement with Kraken. Of course, combined with the effects of the suit against Richard, combined with ETFs, combined with institutional money, combined with all this stuff coming together, that perhaps crypto is going to go through a significant metamorphosis now. I don't know how fast that would be anyways, but you could definitely see that things could be a changing, could be a change.
Metamorphosis. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, probably not the right guy to talk about how markets are left translated, right translated and all that. But there's some people out there that watch those types of things in the greater macro markets, and don't know. Maybe the great BTC experiment is about to take a different turn. I don't know. Speaking of which, did you also see the announcements tonight that they were allegedly unable to serve Richard Hart papers? and so that the 28th has now been postponed into January.
I don't really comment on things that closely, but that's always good to know.
Yeah, I read that on the internet. That was on the old X. The people can go look that stuff up themselves.
Yeah, I think going back to like a lot of things changing, yeah, there's every other post I've seen on Twitter for the past few days has had to do with this OpenAI stuff. Have you been following that?
No, you're going to have to tell me about it. I know that Altman is no longer with OpenAI, and I got your joke, right, about going to work for Microsoft, and that he's now heading up a new project at Microsoft. I also read that all these people were going to quit if he didn't get reinstated, but never heard if they quit or not. And seeing as he took a job, usually though, very difficult to go back and stay with a company after you just departed under circumstances that weren't happy. I suppose possible, but
Well, this is the tech drama of the decade. And so, for example, we got the word last week that that the CEO of ChatGPT, which the company's named OpenAI, but for people who aren't like following all the complexities, I'll just say the CEO of ChatGPT, Sam Altman, he got fired from his own company, which is super close to the plot of a certain Netflix drama about the founder of Uber. And that show is called Super Pumped, and the main character who plays the founder of Uber, the actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt, his wife in real life was throwing Sam Altman out of his own company because she was on the board of OpenAI / ChatGPT. So literally what happened in a Netflix series, of a founder being thrown out of his own company was basically happening to the biggest AI company in the world, which of course seems extremely relevant to tech people, but also to the world in general, because a lot of people were worried about whether the board kind of shooting themselves in the foot represented their reason for basically saying that it was unsafe to have Sam running the company because maybe he had developed artificial general intelligence, which is the next leap forward in AI, where the AI is way smarter than us and starts like, bringing up lots of concerns. And so that was kind of the idea on Friday night, was that Sam got thrown out of his company, and there were some allegations that he had like been abusing his sister when he was young, and that didn't really get reported that much, but it seemed mostly like it was just that this board had staged a coup. And actually the lead scientist who also co-founded OpenAI, he was one of the people on the board that was throwing out the CEO, Sam. He has a lot of Hex references in his Twitter, and in his TED talk that dropped today is like filled with hexagons in the background. Not saying he's a supporter of Hex crypto, but he probably would be if he knew about it. Anyway, so over the weekend, it developed further that Microsoft basically already had a contract with OpenAI that said that they can only access OpenAI's ChatGPT. Like they paid $1 billion. How much did they pay? They paid many billions of dollars to like get access to the tech. But it said that if OpenAI ever developed artificial general intelligence, then Microsoft wouldn't have any claim to that. So what's the crazy twist on this whole thing is that all of a sudden Microsoft announced that they were going to start hiring all the people from OpenAI. And so they hired Sam Altman, the ex-CEO, and then they hired the ex-president of OpenAI. And then I think there was a letter that said like 700 out of 750 employees were going to resign if the board didn't resign. And so basically what we've seen happen is the possibility that all 80 or 90 billion dollars worth of this a tech company have basically been destroyed by a board that was staging a coup against Sam Altman. And then basically he turned around and just led the entire company to go get hired by Microsoft, which is a good deal for Microsoft because now they control like the future of the company. Basically, they still own all the rights to the GPT that OpenAI, has going forward. And what's most interesting is that they didn't have to do any antitrust stuff with the government. There was absolutely no oversight, and this is an example of like corporate espionage that we haven't ever seen before. And another thing worth noting, I guess, is that OpenAI, even though they were founded by Elon, they had actually changed their governance so that their board was not a not-for-profit, but was also not for profit. They created their own new category of governance. And so this is kind of relates to DeFi in the sense that nobody really knew how the governance was going to work out for them. And it looks like it's gone horribly poorly. So that's kind of the update there.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. I know you mentioned it's kind of like this transfer of IP, right? I don't know if I get what you mean when you mention espionage, but essentially this other company just has a whole bunch of this intellectual property now that they both purchased, and they have the means of creating more because they have their little IP generators, right? These people
Yes.
are able to do that. It makes you wonder why. I know they said they were worried about his, how candid he was, how much information he was provided the board, how consistent he was. But then I also saw a couple things where, just looking real briefly now, where the people were saying that he wasn't taking the threat of AI seriously enough, whatever the hell that means. But AI
Elon
does,
said that.
yeah, AI does threaten many, many industries. I mean,
Yes.
it's,
Yeah.
it has the power of like huge transformation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes you think twice about how you treat animals when you start seeing well, maybe you would still be treating animals well, but the idea is that yeah, if computers get so much smarter than us relative to how smart we are compared to animals, then that's a situation where people should not be reckless, and we do need good oversight, and we need we need safety in place. So I think that there's a lot of really positive things that are possible with AI. And yeah, so it'll be really interesting to see how it gets rolled out. I know that Twitter is getting its own AI called Grok that has
I know.
already started to be
I
rolled
saw
out.
that.
I did an early sign up for it, so I'm hoping to get it soon.
Cool. I don't know. I use AI quite a bit now for
What do you
different
use
things.
it for?
Mostly to clean up my language, and
Mm.
documents with project planning, that type of stuff, because it knows enough that it knows what I know. It is smarter than I am, I think. Well, at least it has a repository, you know, and so I can ask it to clarify things and write things for me based on my input. I like that quite a bit. The real jump the shark moment in technology is coming very quickly. It's going to come very quickly. And it may have the power to really transform the IT industry, information technology industry, the way that, MP3s transformed or helped transform the music industry, or, a number of other technologies you can talk about. I mean, it might even, this is probably 10 years away, this part, but it might even transform what we're doing now. Because now, you worry about things like putting your background up, and if you have background music and whatnot, and, you worry about being on screen, right? Well, maybe, maybe AI Maddie in the future is just simply waiting in the box for you, and Maddie gets on and says, "Hey, I want to do a 1-hour stream tonight, and I want to talk about these topics," and go. And it seems far-fetched, but AI Maddie, who looks just like regular Maddie, with his voice, is on screen, interacting with a bunch of other AIs. AI, everybody's going to be an NPC out there, right? I don't know, maybe. But I mean, you can start to see content in real ways being created that way.
Could be the case right now.
Yeah, but it also opens the door for creativity in a way that we've never seen before, and new development. I think it's very possible. I mean, sure, there's a downside to the fact that, like, with software, I'll give you an example. When people are working with software and they're configuring systems and whatnot, if the systems are smart enough to configure themselves, right, then you don't need those operators anymore, those devs, to do the configuration, or you need fewer of them and more specialized. But then perhaps those people put their smarts towards something different, something even more advanced than what they were doing before, and so there's a lot of possibilities. But anyways, who knows where all this will go? Who knows?
I asked ChatGPT 4 if Hex was a scam. Spoiler, I already knew the answer.
Of course, it said no.
Yeah, well, it actually did a Bing search. That was new. In the past, it had been like, I don't know. Be careful out there.
Be careful.
But this time it was like doing a Bing search. So that was different. And so it says that Hex is been involved in significant controversy. It said that there was this SEC charge out there, and it said that that supposedly there was $1 billion raised from investors. That part's incorrect because it was a sacrifice, clearly. It's ChatGPT said that the founder of Hex, Richard Hart, denies that it is a scam. And then it says, but his response to whether he profits from the project is vague. Right. So then in summary, it said, given these circumstances, it's crucial for potential investors or participants in Hex to exercise caution and conduct thorough due diligence. Then it says the involvement of regulatory bodies and the ambiguous responses from the founder about profiting from the project are red flags that should not be ignored. So I raged back. I raged at the machine. I said, I disagree. You can see on chain, there's never been one Hex sold, never one token sold by the founder. So where's the transaction hash that the founder sold? And in the first place, Vitalik profited many millions of dollars from selling ETH. So a founder profiting, that doesn't determine if something is a scam, right? And then I like gave it a piece of my mind by pasting in a transcript between Lex Friedman and Elon Musk talking about how corrupt the SEC is. I didn't say that. Elon Musk said that. And yeah. And then the ChatGPT it started correcting itself. So there you go.
I had no idea you were finished.
That what?
That you're finished. Are you finished?
With my imaginary real conversation with ChatGPT?
No. Are you from Finland?
Oh no, I'm not finished.
Well, ChatGPT thinks you do.
Yeah.
It said, I went and asked, so you were talking about, so I figured I'd go ask. I said, yeah, it doesn't have enough information, by the way, to know if you're a scammer. So, and I didn't have time to explain to it that you're not. But I asked if it knew who you were. It says, yeah, you're a Finnish entrepreneur and social media personality.
Wait, Maddie Allen?
Yeah. Known for your involvement in various ventures, including cryptocurrency and self-improvement content.
No way.
He gained attention for his YouTube channel and content related to personal development, motivation, and financial advice.
I'll be.
How about that? See, it's getting smart already. Except I don't think you knew you were from Finland. So maybe ChatGPT knows something you don't know.
I need to talk to my parents.
Yeah, I don't know. They said finish. Are you finished now? I don't know, Matty. But yeah, I was just fooling around, right? Because I wanted to see what it would say. But yeah, it knows all about you. I mean, either that or there's a Matty Alwyn from Finland.
Well,
very proficient.
That's impossible.
Because it's not impossible, but
yeah,
unlikely. So yeah, I don't know that it actually said you give financial advice, but yeah, ChatGPT did say that. So we got to tell it not that you don't do that. I can feel a whole Maddie thing going on now. You're gonna go train ChatGPT now.
Yeah. You know, it didn't even bring up anything about my DeLorean or paying your future self. So it's obviously got some work to do.
Let me ask it. You know, does Maddie own what kind of car does Maddie own? You know, I could be messing with you so bad right now, but I'm not. I'm actually typing this in. It says it doesn't keep up to date on everything that you own. So yeah, public figures like Maddie Allen might occasionally share details about their lifestyle, but the information is not always comprehensive or up to date.
It probably knows the DeLorean's for sale, but who knows? I might keep it.
It doesn't.
I haven't sold it yet.
It doesn't want you to know.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
That is. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask it.
Does it know about you?
I hope not. I hope not, man. It's kind of creepy, right? It's kind of like now I'm gonna start getting these emails. Oh, it says not familiar with me. Say I'm not famous like you. I mean, like it knew who you were and pretty close.
Yikes.
I mean, that's pretty entertaining.
So to wrap up that thread, it finally admitted that profiting from our project is not inherently the same as scamming. Many founders and early investors in various ventures, including cryptocurrencies, profit from their investments or involvement, which is a normal aspect of business and investment. Well, there you go. So the AI, it's getting better every day, and governance still something to figure out, and the details might still need some refining, but we're getting there. I do have, speaking of Finland and Sweden and other places, I do have like 2 or 3 or 4 clips that I can share. I've been a little bit nostalgic lately because I've been reviewing the old Hex conferences. But I was just looking through my StreamYard here, and I have like 4 different, maybe 20-second to 2-minute clips that I can share. Look who it is! Somebody's joining us. Johnny
Hello,
Chaos.
troublemakers.
What's
It's
up?
chaotic in here now, man.
Oh, I gotta fix my green screen. So you guys are running simultaneous with the other channel.
What other channel?
What other channel? There is no other channel. There's only
There is no
Hex
second
Therapy.
best.
There is only Matty Allen.
This is the same time we've been streaming for 154 weeks. So whoever else is streaming, like
Somebody's
let's
clout
say-
chasing you, Matty.
yeah,
Trying to steal your market share.
yeah, it happens. What's up with you, Johnny?
Just watching all this garbage happen. So funny. By the way, guys, just so everybody knows, if you're trying to time the market and sell the news event, start up that 4 more weeks meme, because you're going to need it for the next year. Okay? Because that's how long court cases can play out. It actually took us a year to serve CZ for the CMC thing. It took a year. Everybody was asking me all the time, what's going to happen, Johnny? What's going on? What's happening? Nothing. Nothing happens for a good year. So just know, while you're trying to time the market, congratulations, you're going to be playing the four more weeks meme for a very long time. So good luck with that.
And people who time lock are going to be earning all that sweet trustless yield while you're trading in and out.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
I think it's funny that everyone's like trying to compare the same thing going on with the centralized exchanges, which are actual companies with actual buildings and actual people they can arrest and can actually affect their business, because their websites can actually be shut down, all that stuff. And they're like, oh, well, what's going to happen if Richard's caught? Nothing. Everybody's all worked up. Everybody, I have never seen people so interested in whether or not somebody gets a traffic ticket or not. That's where we're at here. It's a traffic ticket. That's it. He's caught speeding. His coin just did too fast, too quick, and it got their attention. And by God, they're going to give him a ticket for it and say, don't you ever make another coin that goes fast again, mister. Totally different scenario.
Super Hex Win says he can't withdraw his hex if Richard is gone. Sounds like he's joking there. He knows better.
Yeah.
That's
funny stuff.
That's our number one TikToker.
And that's what's great about the everyone's like upset about the, dude, there's just a lot of upset. It's like, have we not done our job educating people what DeFi is? Do they not understand what is this? Everybody all of a sudden thinks that centralized exchanges are DeFi again. I mean, have they been that brainwashed? Do they really think we're not even listed on the centralized exchanges? We've been banned from the centralized exchanges. Why? Because we're not like them. Duh. And it's like, oh God, look, Hex price down. BNB barely dropped. Yeah, BNB barely dropped. You know why? Because only 0.5% is actually circulating. They own them all. That's why.
Yeah.
You can't exactly sell the price down of BNB if only 0.5% are actually on the market. And
which also means no regular person is going to get rich off BNB going up. No. It's vaporware, and that's why they don't have over 100 YouTubers volunteering to talk about BNB coin.
No, but they sure do have their paid sponsorships, and then I feel bad for everybody that locked their money in there. And Richard was talking about it years ago. He knows people that haven't not been able to get their money off of Binance, no matter how many selfies they send, no matter how many ransom photos they send or whatever, they still cannot get legitimate amounts of money off of Binance for years now. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Well, people should know by now that the volatility is like the #1 feature in Hex and works to the downside and the upside. If you didn't want to be in a volatile coin, then then you might want to think twice or think more long term, one or the other. Hex has these unique properties that make it more of a wild ride for people who are holding liquid, waiting to sell the price down, or waiting to sell for a profit. However, the people who are time locking are the ones who are playing a different game entirely, because that's more of a long-term thing. And so, yeah, it's
I don't think people know what crypto is. Honestly, they're like, yeah, I'll buy that coin. Yeah, I'm in crypto. Yeah, I've got my coins on Robinhood. They're still like that. They're still like that. They don't understand what crypto is. And I think we need to just go through and break that down. What do you think?
let's do it.
It's literally a ledger, guys. It's literally a ledger, okay? Like a spreadsheet that keeps track of units of account. Okay, that's what it is. That is what they're trying to go against. This is like the SEC trying to round up a bunch of calculators. And worse than that, oh, well, we can't do anything about the calculator, so let's go arrest the guy that made the calculator. So it's literally just a spreadsheet that keeps units of account. Okay, and it isn't a website. Okay, it's not. Crypto was never meant to be a website. These centralized exchanges and stuff came in later and inserted themselves in, and then we started this whole trading thing. Okay, and then their business is to market trading because they make money on volume. That isn't crypto. That is a business that is built on crypto. Crypto is supposed to be immutable, unstoppable, okay, decentralized, which means if the website goes down, the crypto still works. If one validator goes down, there's 50,000 other validators, and it only takes one to run the system. Okay? It's not a website, which means websites can be seized. Websites can be court ordered to be taken down. That means that you need a code that you can download onto your computer or another front end that you can use just in case these particular things happen when you got the SEC running out thinking they're Oprah Winfrey, and you get a lawsuit, and you get a lawsuit, and you get a lawsuit, and you get one too. There must be some lag.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're it's like Oprah out here.
Yeah, it's bad. We're all thrown off, Johnny, I think.
I was just freaking out because I forgot to actually download the bridge software, so I'm like rushing to go do that.
Yeah, I mean, originally you got to think about it, okay? Bitcoin, when Bitcoin came out, you had to download some software that may or may not be malicious onto your computer, and your computer gave you all kinds of warnings saying, are you sure you want to download this? You want to talk about scary, right?
Yeah.
And when you were going into Bitcoin, not only that, but you had to trust that this anonymous guy who you've never seen, who could be a 12-year-old in his parents' basement for all you know, who pre-mined 100 million of the coins right from the start before he even allowed anybody else to mine it. That would not fly in today's market whatsoever. But over time, as those coins haven't moved or sold, people assume that it's safe, right? And over time, the institutions have the majority of all the coins. So Bitcoin predominantly has become completely institutionalized. The large exchanges own it. The banks own it. The government owns it. Gox and scams own it. You've got lots of stuff that's still lingering over top of your head, like the sword of Damocles, and everyone's like, oh, but gosh darn it, those whales and those sharks can sell Hex infinitely. No, they can't. If you think that, you need to go back and learn how the TShares rate system actually works. Crispy's got plenty of data for that. So you need to go back and learn how the TShares rate works, because you cannot dump indefinitely. And mind you, we've had hundreds of millions of Hex dumped on the market in the past month. How much did we move, guys? How much should we freaking move? Anybody else?
We moved up 3x and then down like 50%.
Yeah. Well, done. Now what are they going to do?
I mean, yeah, the price is probably going to remain like volatile for the rest of Hex's history because
there's a whale
like
in every
the whole
coin.
point.
There's a whale in every coin that can send the price near freaking zero. Every single coin. I don't care. Pick a coin. You can pick Bitcoin. Michael Saylor has a bad day and decides that he's going to go off his freaking rocker, which he already is, and decides that he just wants to hit the sell button. You go feel some serious pain. So I don't feel comfortable with that.
I mean, Block One has more crypto than Saylor does when it comes to Bitcoin.
Oh, I'm
speaking
sure.
Of people who have settled with the SEC.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, with all this stuff going on, I'm getting more and more bullish every day on Quattro Cinco Hex stakes. And I know that's contrarian, but I am now a top 100 staker. Like I'm in the top 100 of TShares holders in 2039. But
let me give you my
top
address
100
real quick, and let's see where I rank. No, I'm just kidding.
You're saying in 39 only, not in the system
right.
overall.
Right.
Okay.
In 2039. Actually, I'm probably even higher in 2039. But yeah, so all of this stuff, recently with all the potential changes in structure and these companies and, the whole landscape changing and, the possibility, at least the FUD possibility that cycles will now be truncated and things won't go so high and they won't go up as fast, all this stuff, right? What beats all that stuff? Man, what beats that is staking and earning rewards over a long period of time because and I don't have to worry about that junk. I just have to worry about what's going to happen at the end. So that started me down this path. And like you said a little bit earlier, like what is crypto? We need to explain to people crypto is again. I'm cooking up some ideas and streams and some data, but that led me to look at 2039 and see how many people are believers that are out there. And so, 2039 right now, we have approximately 3,000, a little bit less than 3,000 TShares in 39. And that's spread against 520 20 stakes and 455 people. So there's 455 people that have gone out to 2039. They just opened up a few weeks ago. And they've begun staking. And I'm thinking, you know what? I want 100 TShares in 2039. And so I'm thinking about that, man. I'm like, now, all you people listening, don't go out and do this because I want to have a majority out there. So I'm not trying to let everybody know to go do it. But what a contrarian play. 2039, 100 TShares, right?
And one of the aspects that people don't understand the difference of Hex and these centralized exchanges is nobody's holding your coins. You literally are burning your coins to create TShares. Nobody's actually holding those coins. When you cash in your TShares, you print new coins. So this is not giving your coins away to somebody else that say you can or cannot use them later, or they can freeze withdrawals or pause it or whatever. When you are staking, you are literally burning your coins, you're creating TShares, and when you're done, you burning the TShares and minting new coins. And that is very, very different than this other stuff going on. Nobody has your funds. There are no funds. Nobody has your funds. You have your funds. You are the one that has your keys. You are the only person that has access to them. No one has your funds. Whatever you spent to get your tokens, that's gone. It's like, if you buy anything, if you go to a car dealership and you buy a car, do you ask the guy, okay, now that I bought the car, what are you doing with my money? No, You drive the car. And you drive the car off the lot, and what's it do? Immediately goes down in price. Okay. Can you still drive the car? Yes. Yes, you can. So what'd you drive the car for? You know, it's just funny people don't get that concept. If you buy mining equipment for Bitcoin, you think you're ever getting your money back out of your mining equipment? No.
No.
You're going to start at a net negative, and you're going to
Yeah,
stay
not
at
at
that
all.
net negative, and you're going to have to earn coins and pay power bills until you're finally into a net positive. You start positive day one, whether the price goes down or not. You start positive day one because you are earning coins. Well, technically the next day, but you get my point. And hopefully they get my point.
I hope so too, man. I hope so too. I hope so too. Yeah, I'm still pretty bullish. Hey, I did get a lot of backlash in my $50 discussion a couple weeks ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Ooh.
I've been getting a little bit of that.
You would have gotten that if you would have bought Bitcoin for a penny, and you would have talked about Bitcoin at $50 when it was a penny. Nobody.
I know it was. I know. I know, dude.
Nobody
I mean,
would have.
can you imagine? It's like I'm older than you, right? Not too much, but I'm a little bit older. I'm a little bit older than you, and I was a full-grown adult in 2010 and savvy enough to load that software. I didn't load the Bitcoin software. Can you imagine if I had done that? And I had. Oh, well, how many would I need? I don't know. Would I have kept them? I don't know. Could have mined me, a few hundred.
Well, yeah, you'd get 50 Bitcoin blocks, and they would have been worth 50 cents, and you would have been paying $5 for power, and you wouldn't understand, why you were wasting so much money to make 50 cents worth of coins. Kind of like the stakers today looking at their current price of their hex going, well, they're only worth a couple cents, so who cares if I got TShares and I'm only making 6 hex a TShare?
I hate it when they
Well,
use that
suckers,
voice.
let me tell you a little something. Back in the day, we were making 1 per TShare, and guess what? Those were worth like a millionth of a penny. Okay, so or a millionth of a dollar. They were
And there's even
fractions of a penny back then, and we were getting 1 per day per TShare.
Yeah, I
So
was
yeah,
going to
that
say it
sucks.
was even less, right? Because in fact, I was just working on that model today because I had to go look at it. I was like, man, that payout sure has come up.
Yeah, and look at this. Okay, so I've got a stake that's 200,000 hex. Okay, the yield on that is 600,000 hex. It's 58 TShares. Go ahead, stake your hex. Stake 200,000 hex. See how many TShares you get. Guess what people are going to say 2.5 years from now? You're the lucky one. Why? Because you staked that 200,000 hex that you can get today and got the T-share rate today. And they don't get that same T-share rate 2.5 years from now. So that one stake, now, yeah, okay, I could have sold the top. Yeah, I could have sold the top. That's fine. But actually, I got 8x my coins because there was a fork. So I've got 2 stakes on 2 chains, and that's an 8x my coins for doing nothing. Nothing. And that T-share rate is locked in for the next 10 years. You see? People do not understand how the system works. If you want to put it in the land of misfit toys and chuck it in the box with every ERC20 token and you want to chase shiny objects, guess what? You're never going to freaking figure it out. But when you do, and it'll probably be 2.5 years from now when you unstake one and try to go buy your T-shares back, when you figure it out, you'll roll back to this video and you go, oh shit, that's what he was talking about.
Yeah. Well, for like you said back then, right in the beginning, payouts were base payout was something like a 0.6 of a hex per T-share.
Yeah.
0.6. And the only reason it went up to a 1 is because of all the penalties day 1, 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think about not valuing it, right? Because people were changing stuff all over the place. They want to test it, right? So
Not staking Hex is like playing with a toy that doesn't have batteries in it and getting mad and throwing it aside because you think it's broke. That's really what it comes down to. You know, and I see a lot of people doing that. Damn thing's broken. I don't understand this. Slam it down. Oh, look, dog coin. Woohoo! I don't get it, man. I thought we were stronger than what we are, you know, and I just see people they're just so they can't resist the lights, man. They can't resist the blinky lights. They got it, you know. I once in a lifetime thing comes along like this that's designed like it is, and it's so ingenious. It's completely decentralized. It's not a website. It's not some gimmick. It's code in its purest form, doing what it's supposed to do and has done for the past 4 years. And everyone's got to have something new. It's weird. Don't take the proven thing, right? Don't do that. Let's
I still like Hex.
I'm glad you still like Hex, man.
I like eHex and pHex. They're both
Now,
pretty
wasn't that a fun
interesting to
one
me.
too? That whole divisional conversation. It's just Hex. I don't even understand why people say pHex and eHex anymore. I don't get it. I do get it, actually. It's because, like I said, they took their cup from one and dumped it into the other, so now they only talk about the one. I get that. But here's the problem with that. When you create that controversy, that division, and you make people choose, they don't buy either. They don't buy either because they're confused. Now you done confused them. You know, you got people running around. Well, EX has to die. Well, guess what? They're not going to buy either. Congratulations.
I guess it'd be cool if 1 hex on Ethereum was the same price as 1 hex on Pulsechain.
Well,
That'd simplify things, wouldn't it?
it would if it would have been set up that way to begin with. And it can be because
It doesn't have to be set up from the beginning. It could happen at any time, couldn't it? Like with Hedron, isn't that what's in the works with trying to create the same price on both chains somehow?
See, I don't know what Alex is building over there, but I mean, he could have done that. He could have done that with the SA and actually, you know, bound the two in such high liquidity, you know, that you couldn't really move it. So you could do that with liquidity bonding for the most part, keep it in a close ratio. But I don't know what he's building. He's building
Yeah, I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's impossible for Hex to like wait to see it be done on a test bed like Hedron, even though Hedron isn't a test bed necessarily for Hex. It'd be nice to know that the theory plays out how you would expect. So who knows? I mean, it might not have even crossed anybody's mind except for Johnny's and people who watch him.
Well, you've got like 0.003 of a dollar difference in the hexes. Okay, if they're both $1 and they're still off by 0.003 of a dollar, do you think the ratio is still going to be 1 to 7 or 1 to 1.7? I don't think so. So.
Yeah, I don't think. Anyways, I don't think, you know, I don't think there's merit in the value being exactly the same. Perhaps someday if somebody wants to really work it and arb it, but even to get it close to being the same, a lot of there'd be a lot of cash burned to make that happen, and you know, a lot of the people to hold.
I think it'll naturally go to where it's like $1 and $1.03. I think it's going to kind of naturally go that way. But it's going to go that way over time because Pulsechain is new and everybody dumped their economic energy over there and moved right across. So I think it's going to naturally flow that way. For the most part, the one variable is, again, the TShare rate, which is changing differently on both chains. So there might be a premium or discount as a result of the TShare rate because it didn't start out close to the same ratio. And since it didn't start out to the same ratio and we have more activity on one chain than the other, it does throw off the TShare rate. But I don't see a $60,000 TShare on one and a $30,000 TShare on another. And that's what happens if you get a 2-to-1 ratio. You know, so
Well, Johnny, you've been right about a lot of stuff so far.
Well, I had the ratios pretty damn close for taking a shot in the dark. You know, the 200 to 1 held for a very long time. 3 to 1 held for a long time. And yeah, I had 1 to 1 hex, but 1 to 1, 1 to 2. That's a lot better than some of the stuff out there that was 1 to 10 or 20 to 1. You know, stuff that people were talking about. So I say it's still pretty close. And if it's 1 to 1.7, 1 to 1.5 for something that has never been done before, I think that's pretty close. But we are seeing a move in the pulse ratio because I think people are actually kind of selling the wrong direction. So pulse is no longer a 200 to 1. It's more like a 160 to 1 with the hex right now. And I think that's going to balance back out towards the 200 to 1 again, too. I think those are kind of floating. Those ratios have been very good to me. So, you know, if people are still kind of poking at me about the ratios, I don't know where you went wrong because they've been very good to me. Looking at those ratios and using those as a key point and knowing when to swap what for what, you know. And right now it looks to me that you know, it's gone a little stray with the one. I think 160 pulse for 1 hex is a good deal right now, because I do think it'll get back up to where it's 200 pulse per hex again. And so you're kind of getting like, I don't know what, 20% more coins, something like that.
Well, look, Johnny, whenever Richard Hart used to be around and make guesses about how high or low things could go, he was usually spot on. And now with you, it seems like you called not only what you've just mentioned, but didn't I hear you say the other day that you had called that the sacrifice rates could go
As low
to
as
a 90%
Yeah.
discount, which is exactly what happened, right, with Pulse
Yeah.
X. And so seeing as how you were right about how low it could go, how high do you think Hex could go in the next couple of years?
So yeah, so there's not a way to really put a cap on it. You know, like I said, if you eliminate market cap as a factor, why can't it do what Bitcoin did? You know, why can't we get a million X? You know, I just don't have a legitimate reason why I can't, other than the fact that we're still gate kept. We're still not in visibility. The users that we do have are panicked. They don't understand that basically the SEC is attacking everybody. And this is what happens when you have an alternative system. You know, you expect the incumbent to say, oh, yeah, sure, you guys can make money over there. It's okay. No, they want their cut. And they're acting in a way like the mafia. You know, extortion, protection money. They, you know, when they went after Jesse Powell, they got 30 million out of him, and then they came back for their next payment.
Yeah.
What kind of bullshit is that?
Kraken CEO.
Yeah. They came back for, now they're coming back for another payment. Give us some more extortion money. We'll leave you alone for another 10 months. What kind of, you know, what is that? Right. So I think we're in real DeFi. And just like it has happened, everything that had a DeFi sticker on it has failed. And we're still here, you know? Yeah, the price is down. Optimism, you like their one validator? That's some serious.
I think Armando is talking about the optimism that we're all sharing in the fact that we don't think
I'm
Hex
talking
is
about
dead.
I'm talking about the token. It's got one validator.
man.
One centralized validator. Yeah, so I mean, we could, you know, when I say we do, you know, $1 Hex, people think that sounds crazy, but it doesn't sound any crazier than when we first hit a penny. because it's not even near the move.
Dude, people just don't understand what the hell's going on. And I mean, it's really tough. And I mean, the people who listen to this channel know, mostly. I'm pretty sure they do anyways. But I mean, they don't understand, the things that even Richard has put out over and over and again about how value gets transferred, how it gets stored. The subtle hints, like if you don't want price to go down, stop selling.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
that one.
stuff like that, because, unfortunately, and I think I might have been like this when I first came to the crypto, I didn't understand, and I was just looking, yeah, well, where's my money, right? I want to go get my money, right? And I didn't understand that there are people making markets, and sure, they're in it for profit, okay? No doubt. But there are people making markets. The value just doesn't come from nowhere that goes into LP. All these types of things. People they think this is all magical because they
No,
don't have that skin in the game. But anyways, all that being said, right? Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. But here's the thing: is just from messing around with these influencer tokens and what just because I didn't understand LP and how it works. I can clearly tell you and stand behind it that if the community wanted $1 hex, we would
it
have
would be
$1
there.
hex. It would be
Yeah,
there.
it would be there.
It's and so then the question is, okay, well, I want $1 hex. Of course I do, right? Well, they got to wait for all the people who don't to get the hell out,
Yes.
because it comes down to if the community believes in it and they don't sell any crypto, by the way, within reason, the value goes up. It goes up because as more people come in, the price has nowhere to go but up, right?
So
And that's why
buying and holding.
I can confidently say $1 hex is possible, $50 hex is possible.
Buying and holding is what makes the price go up. So, like, you talk about, you guys know I deal in toys, right? So if I go buy up all the toys at all the Walmarts, right, that they're all on clearance, and I buy them all up and I set them on my shelf, I have all the supply. So guess what? I get to set the price. So if anybody wants them, I now have all the supply. I bought up all the ghoulies from Morris Costumes. They had like 20 of them or something in stock, and they're like, the little rubber monsters or whatever. So I bought them all. Click, all in my cart. Guess what? Until I get my price, I'm not selling them. If people had that mentality, that's what creates those higher price levels. Because if somebody pulls up next to me and they've got the same thing that I do and they're trying to undercut my price because they want to unload first, that's fine. But they're gonna they're gonna sell at a discount, right? You have to be the person that says, I'm not willing to sell at a discount. And you wait for the price to come to you. So that's why I always tell people, I said, look, you have to be in a position where you don't need to sell. And a lot of people aren't. A lot of people are in positions where they need to sell. So what happens when you're in a position when you need to sell? You get the worst possible price.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens. You don't get the dollar. You won't be here for the dollar. And those liquidity ranges are so tight and so thin. We only get to see this correlation on the way down because everybody's like, oh, it's over. Let me click my mouse button. It's over. You see these people getting out and they're not going to be there.
My mouse hurts. Yeah.
My mouse hurts. But you got a lot of people, again, look, if you need to pay your bills, pay your bills. But maybe you shouldn't have had that much crypto to begin with, because you need to be in a position in order to get the best prices. You need to be in a position where you can wait, where you can stock your shelves and you can wait. And if you can wait, you're going to get the better prices. Mm-hmm. When everybody else is sold, when everybody else has closed up shop and went home, and you're the only person left on the market that's willing to sell at that price, you get that price. And maybe Crispy here, he wants to wait for $50. Maybe I want to sell some at $1. Well, it's going to take him longer to get to his $50 if I'm selling at $1. But guess what? If I sell all mine out at $1, guess who makes more money, me or Crispy? Crispy makes more money because he's still got a bag when it's at $50. Mm-hmm. You sell out your whole bag, you take a chance of never getting back in.
Bitcoin,
there
baby.
are a lot of people that sold their whole entire bag that are never getting back in.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The audience is loving it. They like to stake and chill. They like adding to their inventory of TShares. Yeah, these people get it. But you know, if you don't believe in $1 hex, get out.
Get out. Just go ahead. Tap
Get
out
all
right
the
now.
way out.
Get
Go
out.
ahead.
Not
Get,
just out of the
But-
stream. Get
But
all the
Maddie-
way out.
But Maddie,
you know,
Hey,
that
it works on pumping the
7.5 years is
numbers.
coming up really, really quick. And a lot of those 555s, they ain't going to make it. They are not going to make it. They're going to be tapping that little button. They're going to take their principal. They're going to give all that wonderful hex with the big payday bonuses and everything else to all the people that staked and are sticking to the code and doing what they said they were going to do.
Yeah, that's my primary strategy on EX for maintaining my ladder. You know, I want to be in place to collect that. Particularly on EX, but both chains will be certainly possible. I mean, people don't value it the way I do, of course. And then, you know, if you're smaller, if you're really just like fly by night and you did a few stakes, you're like, what do I care? It's a few $100s, right? Then you just totally miss the idea that, you know, higher prices, longer period of time would be higher. I am curious about what you're just saying about the emergency unstake stuff. I have worked on an analysis with Axis on this, and just trying to get my head around what you know, what people might do with emergency unstake. You know, and I think we all kind of feel like, yeah, probably more people will emergency unstake. But how
And
much
people
more?
worry about those too. They're like, oh my gosh, all this hex is coming out on the market. No, it's not. See, that's the beauty of the emergency unstake. That hex does not come out on the market. That inflation is deferred to the future, and half of it's absorbed by the OA. So that's actually less hex that can be dumped on the market. So not only that, they get
Well,
if
the
it hits the halfway point, they don't get penalty, but the big payday bonus, the interest and yield, all of that is forfeit, and that only goes to stakers, right? So it gets absorbed, and then that's cut in half, because since the OA absorbs half of that, that's cut in half. So that yield that would have hit the market never hits the market, and it's deferred farther out to the 555, which means they're getting 3 times. They're getting 2/3 of the money out into the future. So only actually 1/3 of it goes to the intermediate stakers.
Yeah. There's some other effects too. Of course, the person gets what's ever left over, if there's anything left over after penalties. But
it's a lot less than if they were to just not stake it all and dump their whole bag. You know.
Yeah, I think a lot of people miss also that, you know, those penalties, the half that gets minted gets sent over to the OA. That increases the daily payout.
Yes.
Because now it's ever
Supply.
minted. It's been minted. It's now supply, and so those are still holding their payout, because it's just a little bit. It's enough to boil the frog. You know, you don't notice it. You go like, what's the difference? It's only 5.8 versus 6.2.
Yeah, and they're only worth a penny each today.
Yeah.
They're only worth a penny. Who wants that?
Yeah, but when
50 Bitcoin blocks for 50 Bitcoin for a penny. Who wants it?
Yep.
Who wants it?
Me. I want it.
There you go.
I do, man. I do. I do. Well, I can't go back in time and get it. Damn it, Maddie, get that damn car up and running, will you?
I
want to go back
to the future. We know to buy more hex, don't we, Maddie?
Yeah, to buy more hex.
That's right.
Well, that's I did this vision. We should really instigate. Well, everybody makes their own decisions, but I think a great contrarian play, like I was saying earlier, is to go do Quattrocinco stakes and make sure you get stakes out in 37, 38, and 39, because I can see it on the charts. They're not there. It's obvious. It makes sense, right? I mean, of course, we're always going to have these kind of like jumbles over time, if as the system ages, where there are going to be these flat spots, and people are definitely not looking at Quattrocinco the way they were.
No,
and
a lot of them didn't make it either. There are a lot of those original Quattrocincos didn't make, and a lot of our payouts jumped up because all the penalties with the big payday and everything was in those. But now see, I don't tell people to stake 555, and I'll tell you why. I tell people to set terms you can honor and honor the terms you can set. Only you know you, and you only know your behavior. But again, I'm telling you to use money that you don't need right now, that you can afford to send to your future self, not to put yourself in a position where you need to sell. So sure, if you're going to burn $10 in scratch off tickets, why don't you take that $10 and pretend it's burnt, send it out 555 and call it good?
You can get a 1/10 of a t-shirt for that right now.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
do it.
Like,
throw it out to the
yeah.
future, you're going to burn it anyway, right? So that's cool. But if you're going to put money that, is a little bit more, then you might want to try the staking system out. You might not want to push it all the way out there. And, the system does not let you. So this system is unlike any other system in which with the truth engine, the penalty system and the truth engine, it does not do you any good to commit to a 555 and then end at 7.5 years anyway. Because if you end at 7.5 years, you get your principal back, but you forfeit all of your hard work for the past 7.5 years. So that's why I tell people, go ahead, create a ladder, ration yourself, so that you're getting some rewards at different times. So you're not mad, when the prices spike up high. And if you want to sell, by God, go ahead and sell. Optimally, Crispy is absolutely right. With the 555, that's going to make the most profit, but you also have to wait the most time. And if you don't want to wait the most time, then there's absolutely no reason in the world to try to optimize it, because you're not getting that rate. You're not going to get that rate. You're going to lie to the contract and you're not going to get that rate. We saw people do that right before big payday. Oh my God. We had 555s the day before big payday. And what did they do? They thought they were going to get out with the big payday bonus the day after. Guess what happened? We got the big payday bonus. They forfeited that big payday bonus to us. Everybody that said they were going to do their stakes. Now, if anybody's in right now, and they got in before big payday, you do not get that bonus unless you serve the full term of your stake, whatever it was.
100%.
100%.
100.
You are in 1 day early, you forfeit all of your big payday bonus. Now you'll get to keep.
Why, Johnny? Why?
Because that's the truth engine. You lied to the contract. You tried to cheat the system. You did not serve your term. You will forfeit it. And, people don't know that. They're like, oh,
yeah,
all right, it's halfway done. I'm going to get to keep my big payday bonus. No, you don't.
Maybe. Well, those people aren't listening, so it's good. But you're right. You're right, because a lot of people don't know. Once you get past that 50% mark of progress, what you lose is the first half, right? You lose the first half, all of the rewards from the first half, and that includes, right, which would have been, if it was a flush or CP with 50%, that includes your big payday. You get to keep yield that came after the 50% mark if you wait days or whatever, you get some yield out of it, but you lose that big payday.
Yep. And at 50%, you lose all of your interest and your big payday at 50%. You got to get beyond that to start getting to keep some of that yield. So and up to the last day, you could lose up to half of your yield. So it really doesn't do you good to even unstake EES even a day early, because you can lose up to half of your interest. All your big payday bonus, but half of your interest. So literally, you got to set terms you can honor and honor the terms you set. There have been people that have been really pissed off because they were ready to click the button that they hit it a couple minutes before it actually rolled over and lost their entire big payday bonus. Right?
Yeah.
Don't be in such a hurry.
All right. You ready? I got questions for you. How many emergency end stakes do you think we've had?
How many emergency unstakes do I think we had? 10,000.
well,
5%.
67,904. Probably more than that now, but so 67,000 emergency unstakes.
See, I was aiming way low.
What do you think the average progress was when these people did it on average? It is just for fun. Guess.
Average
One
progress?
day.
No.
No,
Higher.
3 months.
36% on average, median right about 31%. So people, they wait a little while on average, right? And Maddie, overall about 8% are emergency unstaked.
Okay. All right. That was close.
You know, those kind of numbers, right? How many just missed the memo, man, and just nuked themselves?
Oh shit. Let's
Like
say
100%, like 100%, like just like nuke.
5%.
20%.
Yeah. 2,700 roughly.
Oh
Nuke.
no! Now we're doing. See, you keep screwing with me. I answer numbers when it's.
I'm on the
That's
wrong
all right. No,
scale.
I screwed you up there. I have to do the math on it if I did it. But it's 0.34% nuked, you know, overall, and then 2,700. I don't know.
I said
67.
5, so it's actually 3%.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was a
Yeah, it's
little.
pretty close. But I mean, these are kind of numbers that are out there, right? You know, that people do it. I mean, it looks like most people are waiting to 30% before they merge the unstake. Now, that being said, the miners who waited at least 50% or longer was about 20,000. About 20,000 of the miner stakes, right? Not individual addresses. About 20,000 of them did it, and did it after they got past 50%. Yeah, 50% or longer. But they typically were waiting. Their kind of like median number is really around 77. So I looked at everybody that waited at least 50% or longer, and about average around 70%, 75%. So there's some people like almost made it to the end, and then they merged the unstake. You know.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so that's kind of crazy, right? So then when I'm looking at this and I'm looking at what's going to happen next and what we have coming up, you know, I'm trying to decide how many of these stakes that are due, right? Just as a recap, 2019 launch, many people had 10 years in their head. Quattro Cinco wasn't quite the thing yet, right? They hadn't quite settled. Some people did Quattro Cinco right out of the gate. Not everybody did. But 10 is a big number, right? And so what ended up happening? We have many miners that are going to end in 2029
Yep.
and 2030, right? So why does that matter? 50% of the time is 5 years, 5 years from 2019, which is 2024, 2025. And so
Yeah,
I'm
we're gonna have
trying
a
to.
bunch end. We're gonna have a bunch end next year.
Now I'm guessing that, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's all made up numbers at this point, right? But I'm
We could
guessing
be seeing 10 hex per day per TShare next year.
yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that maybe we see 10%. In fact, I did numbers as high as 50% of them, you know, and but like you said, if they were to end, you know, and you know, that's like you know, in 2024, that would be like 2 million plus TShares go poof.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What happens to payout if a quarter of all the TShares disappear? Well,
Goes up.
Goes up like a lot. Like you talk about
25%.
yeah, at least, you know, so all of a sudden we'd start seeing like some real weird dynamics. You know, so if I look at that 50% number, we would lose 2.4 million TShares in 24 through emergency end stakes, and 1.7 and 25, which is almost 5 million. I mean, you talk about a lot, well, at least 4 million. And
what it shows is a lot of people still don't know how to use the system, which is what really bothers me. It shows that people still don't know how to use the system. And
well, only if they do it. If they
Yeah.
don't do it, then they know how the system works. But dude, this is what I was saying to you, like hidden knowledge here, right? Okay, I'm here for 15 years. I'm not going anywhere. I followed Johnny's rules, right? I've got my ladder. I'm gonna have my TShares are gonna collect, man. I will be collecting. I don't care, you know. Maybe I don't care what happens with price. I like the whole game dynamics just from the very beginning. It was always about how to play the game of Hex. How do you get more Hex? For me, in my head, because the money thing always throws me off. Like, I don't know what the hell is going to happen with prices. People are weird. They do what they're going to do. But if I want to have the most Hex, how do I do that? So I like that idea. So that's what I mean. So those people who don't emergency end stake, they're gonna be there, man.
and they don't value it, right? So right now at low prices, they so like I said, we had this before at the very beginning when we were getting 1 hex per T-share and it was like worth nothing, right? It was 60 cents a T-share.
Mm.
It ain't 60 cents a T-share no more. In fact, it went as high as like 10 grand a
Yeah.
T-share. So
Yeah.
those 60-cent T-shares would have cost somebody at the top like $10,000. And those 60-cent T-shares at 6 hex per day per T-share at hex at 10 cents was every single day paid for that T-share.
Mhm.
I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what price points we're going to start at. You can have the greatest product in the world, but if you don't get people to understand and participate in it, what do you got? These things are built on network effect. If it's too complicated for people to understand, or they treat it like it, like I said, the land of misfit toys. Hey, it's just an ERC20 token. Just chuck it over there in the box with the other ones. We're not going to get those things. But when the people start to value what they hold, that's when we get higher prices. When people stamp their feet in the ground, they said, yeah, I don't need to sell 10 million hex right now in one click. That's when prices go up. Although I do like seeing it. I do like seeing the 10,000 hex drop, the 10 million hex drop, 10 million hex drop, 10 million hex drop. Because guess what? They're not getting that back. They're not getting that back. They're not getting their T-shares back. They are no longer competitive in the system. Once they do that, it's like the Greg guy that you talk about. That sold his Bitcoin. Oh, I'm sorry, I sold my 1,700 Bitcoin for 8 cents. Now I got it at 8 cents. I sold it for 30 cents, and now it's $8. I don't think people understand how close a dollar is. I don't think they get it. Literally when I say that, I am like, it's not because I'm trying to do the 100x thing. Because 100x from a penny is $1. Okay. It's literally just saying, if we're alive in the second cycle, for God's sakes, guys, we could at least do a 2x over last all-time highs. So I'm being very, 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 very conservative by saying we should at least do $1. And if we do have that 1-to-1 ratio with Hex, you've got $1 on both chains. Okay. If you don't, then I guess you got 50 cents and you got $1. Whatever. We don't know what's going to happen. Nobody's got a crystal ball. But what we do know is if you work the system as it is, you will have more Hex. And, if you're over on Ethereum, you're like, oh God, the gas fees. Well, if you're staked, who cares? You're not making transactions. You can wait 2 years or place it out 2 years and say, hey, maybe in 2 years, Ethereum will get straightened out, right? Because they're going to have to. They're going to have to straighten it out.
Yeah.
They're not going to get any more adoption, and the people that are there are going to get fed up with those prices.
Well, yeah, and that creates another unique opportunity depending on your situation. I have to tell you, I did another gas report this week where I go through and analyze the Hex gas prices and what people are paying. It's pretty disgusting, right? Because what ended up happening is, right, we had pretty good gas for a while, you know, and then kind of lulls me a little bit. And then all of a sudden I got a 1,400-day stake. And I'm like, you shitting me. It's not $400 to end this, right? Yeah, and it is,
It
right?
was.
So
Yeah.
like $400 to end the goddamn thing. And then you got multiples, forget about it, right? And then so it's a very real problem. Now, there, for anybody listening, in case you didn't watch my streams, time. Do not be in a rush. Time things. Get the best price you can if you're going to end, right? And the reason you want to do that is because 10 a.m. Excuse me, 0100 UTC to 10 a.m. UTC historically and continues to be the right time frame to look, and weekends, right? And you can, and so like a 400, instead of paying $400, I was able to pay 130.
And you
Right.
got 2 weeks grace period before it takes anything. And when it does take it, it's only like 1% a week for 52 weeks. Is it 2% per week?
1% a week for 2 years. Yeah.
Oh, 1% a week for, okay.
You
Yeah,
got plenty of
1%
time.
a week for 2 years. So literally, if you wait a year and the price doubles, you've not lost anything.
That's
And
one way
I'll
to look at
repeat
it.
that.
Yeah.
If you wait a year and the price doubles, you've not really lost anything.
Yeah.
Because you're unstaking $10 and that $10 is now still $10 if the price doubled, right? So it's just a different way of looking at it. And if you have other stakes and it's bleeding out, so that's going to your part of that, a fraction of that's going to your other stakes, you know. So like Crispy said, go ahead and time it, you know, and that is the best time to end the stakes. And you can be patient about it. You can wait. You can time it. Do not feel the need to hurry up and click your mouse button. If you're one of those people that feel like you have to rush home and click your mouse button, you're doing this shit wrong.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, you're doing this shit wrong. You should not be compelled to click the little button. Okay. That's how you get yourself in trouble in this space. That's how you end up getting scammed. That's how you end up linking to wrong websites. That's how you end up chasing every airdrop that ends up draining your wallet. That's how you end up doing all this stuff because you're in a hurry to click that damn mouse button. Slow down. Stop. Think. Be active, not reactive.
100%.
And I'm sitting here playing with this little pile of zombies here. If you guys are wondering what I'm doing here,
Oh, you got a
I'm
nice
picking at this
pilot,
little pile of zombies here.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, because when I look on any given day, you'll find people that on the same day end stakes that are the same length, and some of them will pay 3 times more than others, just based on what, you know. Now, of course, guys, do what you want. I mean, it's your money, right? You do what you want financially, and sure, there's bigger players, but I mean, even some of the little guys, they can get a lot more value out. They just pay attention.
Yeah, and if I mean, if you've ever gotten a transaction stuck, then you know how complicated it is. But yeah, it's a matter of paying attention to what the GUE is, see how low it's gone in the past few hours, and then set it at something that's reasonable. If you set for 9 GUE and GUE hasn't gone down that far in months, then or since the EIP 1559, if it hasn't gone that low in almost a year and a quarter, then you're probably setting it too low. You're not necessarily going to get it mined. But if you're looking at like the lowest amount it can get to in a weekend, you can manually set it at that and then hope that it hits and pay way less fees on Ethereum.
You could still use metric exchange for selling and buying. So you can set limits. You still use metric exchange. You can't use match anymore, but you can still use metric exchange. There's a couple other ones too. I don't know if 1inch is still doing it or not, but if you're staking, if you're staking, unless you're buying, but there's ways of saving gas, right? So if you set a limit to sell, you're not paying the gas to sell. You might have to wait for the order to fill. And then the problem with the gas fees, though, for like setting liquidity ranges are a problem. with gas fees unless you're doing large amounts. But that's something else you can do too, is if you do have large amounts, you can set a range and a range liquidity, right? You can buy and you can sell with range liquidity. For instance, you move it out of range. So you say, okay, if Hex drops below this price, I'm going to buy it. And then what you have to do is you have to be able to close that position, which does cost you a gas fee at that particular time to close that position. But say if you wanted to catch the falling knife, if you wanted to catch it and then exit your position before it goes back up, you want to ride that all the way down and collect that Hex, you can set your USDC just to one-sided beyond the range and then catch it as it's going down and then close that position and walk away with the Hex before it goes back up. So there's advanced stuff that you can do, and you need to understand how limit orders work. And if you're trying to exit a position, instead of hitting the market sell button like a monkey and getting the worst possible price and selling into all that slippage, you could set a liquidity range that says, okay, I'm going to sell this amount between 3 and 5 cents. And that's all the amount that I'm going to sell. But when you set those up, you have to expect that you may never get those back, right? You have to accept that you're selling at that price. And even if it goes up to 50 cents, you are comfortable with selling between 3 to 5 cents, that specific amount. And if you wanted to exit your position over time, you could set range liquidity in multiple ranges. So you could set it here, 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 and do it on 5-cent increments or something, right? This many I'll sell at this price, this many I'll sell at this price. And as the price goes up, you get to benefit from that. Now, if the price comes crashing back down, it just fills your other side back. Okay. And it would just fill all your Hex back. But what's the advantage of doing that? Instead of paying the gas fees, to market sell, you're actually getting paid fees. And that might offset your gas fee because you're getting paid fees while you're waiting for those liquidity ranges to fill.
Facts.
And I don't know if that's a little bit out there for people to understand, but Coffee's got videos and stuff on setting range liquidities and stuff that you guys can look up.
That's right. Crypto Coffee 369.
But you're not going to learn this. You're not going to learn this from any mainstream crypto influencers because they don't even know how a DEX works. Seriously, they don't. They do know how to sell you centralized exchange links, but they don't know how DEX works.
What a shame. Well, we have 203 people watching live, thousands on the replay. Hit the like and subscribe button.
Like and subscribe.
That's right.
Belly button all.
So, well, don't have to go that far.
Gotta press the belly button. Yeah.
People know when we're on. You don't have to force YouTube to start blowing up your day and distracting you from things. Just find us here every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Central, 5:30 in California, and 8:30 on the East Coast. So Johnny says that that conservatively Hex could go to $1 if people believed in that. I guess
I believe it. I don't know when, but
provably true.
I know we're going there. I think it's
I agree.
What's the non-conservative outlook? You said it could do what Bitcoin did. That would put it up at $369 per Hex.
XRP was running around with their 589 bid for like the longest time. We heard that for like 3 years. XRP is going to $589. It was like thumbnailed on all their videos and stuff, and it's and that was okay. Nobody griefed them about that. When Richard said Hex could do a 10,000x from the bottom, everybody griefed him about that, and we did. So it's like, wow. Maddie, I think it's unfathomable, right? Ask somebody who bought Bitcoin for a penny what they thought it could go up to. I mean, that's kind of the opportunity. That's the spot that we're at now. We remember the poor guy that bought during the AA, and anybody that bought during the AA, you're up plenty. So this guy had all the right thinking in the world. He's like, man, what if that goes up to 10 cents? I don't want to miss out. Man, what if it goes up to well, we did. He sold all his hex before he even got out of the adoption amplifier, and we hit 10 cents. And that seemed like crazy then, right? That was Moon Boy talk. 10 cents was Moon Boy talk in hex, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I just don't feel like $1 Moon Boy at all. I just feel like $1 like kind of expected, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I know there's going to be a sell-off when we hit that, but that's the problem. When you tell somebody that it's going to hit a certain point, that's like their target to sell. They're like, so here's the thing, right? So people usually want to know prices because they're doing the equation. All right. If Hex is going to go to $1, and I'm sure that Hex is going to go to $1, I'm going to buy 1 million Hex right now, and I'm going to wait for it to go to $1, and I'm going to sell. Guess what? You and everybody else has that same exact idea. That's what happens, to people, right? So this is the same thing that happened with Pulsechain. When everybody came in, they're like, oh, it's going to do 100x. I'm going to get this much, and I'm going to cash it all in. So did everybody else. Everybody said, oh, Richard made a token that did a 10,000x. Pulsechain to do a 10,000x. Let's buy X amount of Pulsechain, and then let's all sell it as soon as it goes up, right? And that's not the correct line of thinking. The correct line of thinking is, how do I produce coins for free and sell them over time as kind of an additional supplemental income? Doesn't sound very sexy, but that's really what it comes down to. Because if you dump your whole bag, you're just like the Craig post, right? You're out. You've given up your ability to produce. The only way to ensure that you're going to be at the next all-time high is to have something staked, or you're not going to be there. You're not going to make it to the next all-time high. Staking allows you to be there. So what I like to say is, I don't know how high Hex is going to go, but I'm going to be there when it is.
100%,
Ooh.
man. 100%. Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm with you.
I thought that Pulse would do a 10x right off the bat, and it did if you were a top sacrificer, which I was not, but I didn't do the math on that part, the part where some people got 3 times as many coins, and so when we did a 3x, I should have taken that into consideration.
We had a lot of people that were non-hexagons that got in the Pulse. A lot of people, and we had even more that were non-hexagons get into PulseX. So they missed the Pulsechain sacrifice, and then they doubled down on their PulseX sacrifice. And then we had everybody waiting for a 10x to sell, and then it didn't happen. So then we had a quick mass exodus of people. Oh, it didn't work, and then they had they over leveraged, and they literally bought based on, here's a coin, this founder did a 10,000x, let's get into the next thing, because we already missed that one. And this was the big danger, right? So like you're talking about me predicting things. One thing that I said was, congratulations, if you dumped all your hex for Pulsechain, you just bought yourself 2 more years. And people didn't like that shit, right? But that was the fact, because it takes 1 to 2 years for a new layer 1 to develop and mature. So when they thought, okay, well, Hex is not going to do another, this one's going to move faster. And something else you got to think about too. If we want to keep, I don't know if I should say this one. If we want to keep the prices down, okay, on gas fees, do you really want Pulsechain being at really high prices? Because then that's multiplied by how much gas fees things cost, right? So as a mechanism, that could be sold down to keep gas prices down, right? Because it is gas. We don't want to spend high gas prices. So when I see people kind of trading Hex for Pulse right now, they're
Should be
kind of
going the
trading
other.
the
Should be
wrong
going the other
direction.
way. Yeah, going in the other way. Hey, dude, I've been seeing this too. I mean, yeah, I got all my different experiments running. All roads lead back to Hex. Most consistent rewards, APY. Not everybody agrees. That's good. So,
Well, you were talking about something earlier too. You know, we did have everybody dumping their Hex to chase liquidity farms. They were actually emergency unstaking to chase liquidity farms, and they didn't understand that Hex is an immutable code that always pays you yield, and that the liquidity farms would go away, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah. And you can see it. I mean, hey, listen, I like farming. I like what I get from farming, but APYs come down. Yeah. I like doing validation. Validation comes down. You know, I don't like LP at all. I hate doing LP, but I do earn fees, right? And sometimes it's good for positioning and getting out and all that, but you can't depend on it. All of them carry some level of risk, right? You know, whether it's impermanent loss or, you know, additional technical risk, right? Why have to deal with all that stuff? You know, and I'm not mentioning the other 6 platforms that you could go on and provide LP and farming and everything else and all of this combination. Anyways, what I'm concluding for myself is that it is easier, safer, and better for me to funnel everything into Hex.
Let's the MFS, he's got a big bag of Pulse, you can tell. Let's do some math here. Let's say Pulse is $1. I know you're excited now. Now, how much does it cost to use the network when it costs you 41 Pulse to do a transaction to make a swap?
Same as ETH, maybe
you see
more.
What the problem is here? So I think Pulse kind of has a cap, and I don't think Hex has a cap. That's what I'm meaning here. I don't think Hex has a cap. I think Pulse has a cap, because it gets, if Pulse were $1, then you'd be talking about you know, $41 transactions, you know, if you're paying 41 Pulse. And we've seen actually as high as, you know, 10,000 Pulse for one transaction, right? When the network was really getting spammed up there for a bit. Mm-hmm. So you got to take that into consideration. How high these things can go.
Yeah, I mean, Vitalik always dumps the price of ETH down with any ETH that he can get his hands on, whether it's the Ethereum Foundation or his personal stash. He doesn't like gas fees to be off the charts now, does he? They still get there naturally because people like paying more for things. So I'm kind of split on the topic. I think that that Pulse, you know, it comes down to.
I'm not trying to. I don't want people to think I'm trying to FUD it. I'm just being realistic and looking at the dynamics of what you are doing with Pulse, what the gas fees are, and our biggest sell point is that we are 27,000x cheaper than Ethereum. Well, if we go up in price a lot really quick, we're not going to have that marketing point anymore, right? So just something to consider.
Yeah, we'd have to drag all the PRC20s up with us so that people would have a reason to come play.
I got to tell you though, I still would like $1 Pulse.
Oh shit! Yeah,
so yes,
I'll take $1 Pulse. Sure, I've got plenty of it. But you know,
so if Pulse is $1, if Pulse is $1, how much is Hex? Okay,
so here's where the ratios come in, right? So if that would be currently right now at 160, so you get 160x that, so it'd be $160 Hex. If Pulse was $1, then you'd have $160 Hex if the ratio's held. Yep.
All right. No cap.
Well, that's just it, right? So the success of Pulse because of the ratio, and that's why I said, you know, I laughed, you know, people got mad at me because I said Hex beats everything, and they're like, you Hex maxi, It's like, no, it's just the equation, right? So if you've got one hex, so this, people don't understand where value comes from. You got to break it down real easy for them. It's very simple. Value is very simple. One thing can be traded for X amount of things. Okay, that's value, and that value comes from a ratio, right? You get 4 quarters in a dollar. That dollar has X amount of purchasing power. Okay, you could trade 4 seashells for 1 rock. It doesn't matter what the thing is. That rock would be valued in 4 seashells. So when you look at Pulse is 160 Pulse, which it's going to go back up to 200. So we'll just make it easy. 200 Pulse equals 1 hex. So if Pulse moves a penny, hex moves $2. If the ratios stay. If the ratio even drops, you got a hex that's $1.60. If we're at the 160 and Pulse goes up to a penny. Because you can trade the hex for 160 Pulse, which then can be traded for a penny each. You see? That's where the value comes from. It's in the ratios. The reason things have value is because they can be traded for X amount of other things. And if they can always be traded for X amount of things, or traded for X amount of things in a fluctuating ratio, that other thing cannot go up in value without boosting the other stuff that it's linked to, that it's bonded to. The Hart's law of the bonding. It can't go up. You can't have a world where hex is a penny, but a hex equals 200 Pulse and Pulse is a penny. That world doesn't exist because of the ratios. Okay? The only way that's even possible is if Pulse is a penny and hex is worth X amount of those, it's that times that. And hex was always going to be a multiple of Pulse. 1 hex was always going to be worth a multiple of Pulses. Okay? So that's why I said that from the beginning, was because I know that the haters can't buy Pulse without pumping hex. Now, unfortunately, what we've seen this whole time is that bonding work in reverse. So there is no safe place. When people are trying to play this EHEX, PHEX game, oh, I'm going over to PHEX because I'm safe, because I won't be affected by the EHEX price. Bullshit. You might as well be putting a cardboard box over your head and standing outside your house saying, the tornado won't get me. It might take my house, but it won't get me standing here in this cardboard box, because they're all interconnected, right? That's why, creating division or saying this one sucks, but this one's okay, does not help your bags any.
Not tornado advice.
What's delusional, Jerry? Will you agree?
It's too good. The alpha is too good.
I get that,
Jerry's blown away. So if the let's say Vitalik comes in and dumps a bunch of Pulse, or whoever has all of it, to try to lower the gas fees, then how would that affect the hex to Pulse ratio if Pulse is so expensive?
So there's a little caveat here. What do they dump the Pulse for? Aha. You see, because they don't actually have to dump the Pulse to bring the gas prices down into US dollar. They could dump that Pulse into their favorite coin and increase its ratio. Right?
Aha.
So that's another little caveat. But we don't know what to happen because it hasn't happened. We haven't hit a
theory.
point. We're gonna, Pulse is gonna, guys. All right. Before you get all wigged out and dump your Pulse, okay? Before you get all wigged out and dump your Pulse, understand this. It's gonna hit a penny. Pulse is going to hit a penny. Okay? I can't give you a time frame, but Pulse will hit a penny before any of these imaginary concepts that I'm spitting right. I'm not thinking in the terms of a couple months from now. You have to understand the perspective I'm looking at is a couple years in advance. Okay. So watch this 2 years later and see if it turned out the way that I said it, because that's kind of where I'm looking at. I'm not looking at right this moment.
Yeah, and good luck holding on
And
when
good
it
luck.
goes
I
up
hope you're still here in
10x,
2
and when
years.
it goes up 100x, you're never going to see that 10,000x usually, because you will have sold on a double or sold on a double. And I literally had to build some software with Futras and Chris to be able to hold on to my Pulse and my PulseX.
Time pays me.
Yeah, without selling on a double. So there you go.
Well,
You have the
so here's the
tools.
thing. Roll back to Bitcoin for a second and think about this. When was the right time to sell? Was it 10 cents? Was it $1? Was it $10? Was it $100? Was it $1,000? Was it $10,000? See, this is the problem. We've had one cycle. We've had one top. Everybody thinks that's the top. That's a top of one cycle, right? That's it. That if you assume that there's never going to be another top, tap out. Go ahead. Tap out. But you know what? Crypto has other tops, guys. It runs through the cycle. If the coin is good, we'll have another top. If the coin is not, then we don't. It's that simple. And then there's sleepers like Doge. Doge went years without making a top. Doge itself went up almost to $1. You're talking about a hyperinflationary coin that was made as a joke in the afternoon by a founder
Yeah.
that abandoned it, right? By a founder that abandoned it, nonetheless, hates crypto, never wants anything to do with crypto ever again, right? And then it almost did $1 like 7 years later or something, right? Incredible.
Yeah.
Imagine if that guy actually held his own coin that he didn't even believe in, that he made himself that he didn't even believe in. FTX coin, right? Founders in jail, companies bankrupt, websites down, damn coin does a 3x. How is that even possible, right? So anything can happen in crypto, guys. So why shouldn't something as unique as Hex not have another top?
I did the math on what Greg would have had if he did a 15-year a continuous stake with his
Greg's gonna block you.
1700 Bitcoin. With his 1700 Bitcoin that he picked up for $100 and sold on a 5x
It's like 4 million.
Well, he would have so if he would have dollar cost averaged out monthly, he'd be like 10 years into his stake. Well, yeah, I did the math like a little bit, maybe like a year ago or something, but he would have, but I actually did the spreadsheet and I picked the price of Bitcoin at the start of every month and calculated how much he would have had to sell. And he would have cashed out about $10 million. And then at the time I was doing it, he would have still had another 10 million in Bitcoin, having served 2/3 of his time. So yeah, he still would have had about 500 Bitcoin left, and he'd have a lot of cash on hand, and he wouldn't be still working his day job as a software dev. So yeah, that's the lesson that we learned from time in the market and not giving up your diamonds for marbles.
And it's not a lottery ticket, and it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. You signed up for a marathon. If you want the best results, you're going to have to stick around. You're going to have to see. You're going to have to set up a scenario where you are never out. It's a never out coin. If you come from the meme department, you think, okay, smash button like monkey. As soon as it's high, I sell it all, right? And I'm completely out. This is not what this is built for. This is a savings account. You're supposed to add more over time, more coins over time. Put money that you don't need right now to send to your future self. It's a savings account. You have to treat it like a savings account. You want to go play with meme coins? Fine. Take some money and play with meme coins. You want to go gamble at the casino? Fine. Go gamble at the casino. But this is your savings account. That's what Hex is a savings account. Your Pulse chain, that is your network, that is your gas. PulseX is owning part of the casino. So
what do you say to somebody who isn't 100% staked, but somebody who is 0% staked, and they have all liquid hex that they've been holding now for, let's say, over a year? What do you say to that person
I have no idea
who
why
hasn't been selling,
yeah.
but they're just sitting on a stack that's dwindling compared to those who do partial staking?
They're 100% unstaked.
Correct.
They didn't read
What
the
would you-
instruction manual. They're playing with a robot with no batteries, and they're going to have a real bad time because they don't understand how it works.
I would just say I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I mean, that's really legit, because a person that's 100% liquid, they are looking for that one time to do their one hit lump sum sale, and hoping that they hit a home run with it, and then they're going to pull a Greg, and they're going to get that pump, and then the price is going to move away from them, and they'll be looking back years from now going, damn, if I would have just staked some of it. If I would have just staked some of it, I would have been able to carry that through. And then instead of selling it this top, they're going to be here for the next tops in the future.
He could have kept 10% and had a fortune.
Yeah.
He could have kept 10% and been a millionaire, but he had to sell it all for $600.
I mean, why would you buy something that has the design that Hex does and not utilize its functionality? It's more like
because I have a short time frame, and I'm looking to speculate that the price is going to way up, and I'm going to time it, and I'm going to sell it for a lot more than I'm going to get, and then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to do it again.
No,
because
sometimes
I am.
You can't go back and buy $1 Bitcoin. You can't go back and buy $10 Bitcoin. You can't go back and buy $100 Bitcoin. You can't go back and buy $1,000 Bitcoin. And I know everyone's like, "Oh gosh, Johnny, you're comparing it to the biggest blue chip there is. That isn't fair." Why isn't it fair? What else in crypto does shit? I'll wait. You want to sell me an AI coin? Thanks. Had enough of those in 2017. It's called recycling of narratives. You want to buy a tracker token? One of those what is it? Supply network tokens? Yeah, I had those back in 2017. You want to buy a coin for Dennis? I mean, what kind of bullshit are they going to come up with next? What happens is they recycle the narratives, right?
Yeah.
And they come back every 3 years because people 3 years are a new crowd, and they've already forgotten, and they think this thing's going to happen. This is now the happening thing. I had deep brain chain. I had red pulse. I had all this weird shit built on Neo. Neo was the new Ethereum. It was the Chinese Ethereum. It was going to be stronger than Ethereum, and the price tanked I think it was as high as like $180, and it tanked all the way down. I think you can get it for like $7 today. And it had a unique feature too. It was kind of like Tezos, where it had kind of a ticker that constantly increased, and that it paid you in gas. So you were earning free gas by holding the token. So it was cool back then, right? Never took off, So even good ideas might not take off. I mean, you have to be willing to accept that.
But Hex is a good idea.
Hex is a good idea too. But look, we've been gatekept this whole damn time, and nobody's seen it. And if our community doesn't get their head out their ass and start to realize how to use it properly and how to promote it properly, and not get scared because there's allegations that could take years to even come to even any kind of conclusion whatsoever, looking for a date that they can sell on because they think it's going to pump or dump within this certain time frame. If they don't get their head out of their ass to do that, we're not going to get anywhere, because we're too busy spreading our own fudge, shooting ourselves in the foot, creating issues out of things that aren't even issues. We're not going to get anywhere with it.
Well, I'm okay if we focus on Hex for a while because the Hex conference is coming up, but the Pulsechain conference is still a ways away.
And I hear quant coming up too. I've heard that a lot. It's like, yeah, I had quant back in the day. It didn't go anywhere either, And I think there are a lot of influencers now that are getting paid to promote it. I don't know what's going on there, but it's possible because we've got people in the community now taking sponsorships for things and stuff. It's pretty obvious at this point, right? But people do get bored and they wanna try other things. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot of recycling of narratives that happen. Those coins come back out of the blue, and then they we're going to give you a certain allocation of tokens if you talk about us, and I think this one's popular or this one's going to do well. It's like, yeah, well, you get to a point where you've seen it all, So I don't know, guys. I've seen it all. I've heard all the narratives. There ain't nothing like Hex, and I wouldn't be here if this was a regular ERC20 token and land the misfit toys. I would just chuck it in the box and forget about it too. But here I am trying to explain to people what it is, even though I don't know how valid that's going to be in the future. If anybody's going to listen, I can scream my head off, but if they don't listen, they don't listen. If you stake, you'll figure it out. If you stake in 2.5 years, you will figure it out. You'll go, oh. Then you figure it out.
Yeah, give it a try, or go back and look at the history of I've even in the description below, I've got an account that I show what happened to a stake that I did right before a big payday that came out after 3 years, and it came out on Bitcoin's birthday, the white paper, and you can look at all the numbers of how many TShares I started with, how many I could get again, because I restaked it. I claimed the COM on it. I did all kinds of stuff to show exactly how much Hex was earned during the 3-year stake. And so yeah, definitely check that out.
Squishing the zombies again.
So you don't have to wait 2.5 years to see what Johnny's talking about. You can learn from.
You know what our
examples.
problem is, Matty? You know what our biggest problem is?
Tell me.
Hex is too complex for the plebs to understand. The influencers that have been shilling shitcoin of the month, it's too complex for them to understand. It's beyond their understanding. They don't grasp it. They can't understand how something can actually do anything in the space when they are in the market of selling pet rocks. When they are literally pet rock salesmen. And, you'll hear people say, Hex is just too complex. I don't really want to talk about it. I want to get into it. Because they don't know what they're looking at. They literally want that to be the land of misfit toys, your basic ERC20 token. They don't understand what makes it any different because they haven't even looked. They don't want to try to grasp it. They don't want to try to understand it. They don't want to see the innovation. They're not in the market to sell innovation. They are in the market to get sponsorships to sell pet rocks. And as long as they get their allocation and they can dump on people's heads, they don't give a shit. Hex being an innovation, they don't get it. They don't want to get it. They're better off being ignorant and just continuing business as normal. Because when they do try to talk about it, they show what they don't know. And then they look ignorant. And they can't do that in front of their audiences. And they don't want to talk to us because we're crazy loon birds. You're not supposed to listen to us.
Crazy. Hey, you know what?
Go ahead.
You know what? 3 TShares in 2039 makes you a dolphin right now.
Wow.
Just saying.
Yeah. They just opened up. Yeah.
3 TShares
in 2039, baby.
Well,
out of the 3,000
that won't last because other people will follow your lead.
Well, I wouldn't expect people to understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
See, that's just it, man. We're kind of sort of esoteric that, if you haven't read the Hex Layman's Guide backwards, forwards, if you haven't been spending the last 4 years of your life looking at the code and understanding what it does, ending your stakes, running it, it's like, It's so funny to me. It's like people want to listen to influencers and go, it's a scam. Okay, well, why? Have you used the code? No, I would never touch it. Okay, so literally you're going to say something's a scam that you haven't looked at, that you've never used, and you're going to educate people on why it's a scam. Hey, for your next chick, hey, why don't you go take martial arts classes from somebody who's never been in a fight? See how that works out for you. Get in that octagon, buddy. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go
This is a
Well,
hexagon here. So
I think
I just want to throw out for somebody who's asking, who I'm just assuming is asking in good faith, like the timing of stakes is something that's achieved by a staking ladder. So what I did is I time locked for every year on my birthday for a stake to come out. So that's how I deal with the timing of stakes, to not overthink it, right? Because if you overthink it, then you might not participate. So maybe you want to do your dog's birthday, or you want to do Bitcoin's birthday, or the first of the year, or some other important date. But that way I know when it's coming out, and I didn't have to put too much thinking into it in the beginning. And then the other thing you want to remember with Hex is the yield is paid in Hex. So it's like, it's not a percentage that's based on how much how many dollars you spent to buy the Hex. It's a percentage that's based on how much Hex that you're time locking and sending to your future self. And if the price of Hex is higher in the future, then that can compound your gains, because you not only have more Hex than if you were just holding liquid, but the Hex is worth more each and every one. And if the Hex is worth less, then then maybe you didn't lock long enough, or maybe the price didn't live up to what it could have done. But the idea is that that the smart contract can't lie to you. It can't be fraudulent or scammy if it's doing what it says it does. And so when you read up, Johnny was mentioning the Hex layman's guide. That's I've got that linked on allmylinks.com/all-in. And that's something worth reading. Explainer videos, stuff like that, you can go to hexcontract.com and watch 3-minute videos that explain Hex.
Yeah. Hey, Maddie, that's good, because I think more people should do that. I think if more people understand, it'll be better. I also believe that Hex is continuing to prove itself as a reward generator, which means at some point here in the future, perhaps we start seeing even more like tier two or tier three kind of things, where not necessarily new protocols, but new narratives. Maybe, Richard always said this was true. And I say this with my streams too, because I go into all this detail. And some people like Johnny, think maybe it's too dry or whatnot when you have to listen to it. But here's the thing: is it could be just as simple as believe me, buy it and stake it. Right? I mean, now of course I don't want to say believe me, because then it becomes like financial advice. But you know what I mean? It could be as simple as, hey, the contract does what it says it does. It pays you every day. This is what makes sense. What Maddie just said. You put a ladder together, and I mean, and that's really the end of it. And people just roll with it and go in. But we're going to need more and more ambassadors like that.
Well, how are you going to know how something works if you don't try it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got all these people, they're like, oh, I'm rich, but I'd never touch Hex. Okay. Well, again, you can't throw $10 in and try it out, Mr. Rich Guy, Mr. High Roller. You can't throw $10 in to see what happens. Maybe you might learn something, right? And another thing, with the Hex layman's guide, who buys something and doesn't read the instruction manual? You get something as complex as Hex, you got 100 pieces, and you're going to, oh, well, I don't need the instruction manual. Let me just chuck this shit out and I'll just do it my way, right? And then people wonder why they don't do things right. I mean, it's all there, You can't see, we have an instruction manual. We don't have a white paper. We have an instruction manual. I actually corrected Lamont Black on that, because he's like, I read the white paper. No, it's an instruction manual. See, because it's a complete product. White papers are promises of future things that will probably never happen. Hex has an instruction manual which tells you how the code functions and how it works, because it's a complete product, and you need to know how to use something before you start clicking buttons. So I advise, even people to this day, have not read the user's manual. They don't understand what it is that it does. They'll watch our videos and stuff, but it's just too damn complicated to take the time to read what it is that they're using. So
yeah, listen to the audiobook or any of the streams that we have. But so Johnny, have you ever streamed with Lamont Black before?
No. I don't think he knows I exist.
Maybe we could get you two together for the Hex conference. That'd be a banger of a segment.
That would be nice.
I think the audience would probably like it. I think I've seen a couple of people that mentioned it.
Very cool. Very cool.
I think it's interesting in the beginning how he kind of sort of had a cognitive disconnect between value and making money, and I thought that was kind of interesting. It's like, yeah, okay, well, how's that any different than anything else? I'm not quite understanding. Value is just that exchange of one thing for another. It's like, what gives a dollar value? It's backed by nothing. It's backed by the fact that it has purchasing power. X amount of dollars can be traded for X amount of groceries. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But yeah, we'll see. We'll talk about it. We're probably close to the end here, right?
Yeah. We usually wrap up at about 2 hours and 20 minutes. Paul is asking, is the Hex conference in person? This is the online one that I've done. This will be the 4th year. Same dates.
Everybody's broke. We're not going to throw a big party right now.
January 6th to 9th. And so I'm putting all my energy into coordinating the online part only, as usual. And then if we do a meetup or something, then we might do something else. But yeah, that keeps it simple for everybody, and it actually allows the maximum participation of people all around the world. Is what we've seen from the online stuff. So that's kind of cool.
We've got plenty of people from Australia that would love to fly in, and UK and everything.
Oh yeah,
love to fly in, but I mean, come on, guys, prices are down. We don't want people selling their future just to come to a silly meetup. So
that's right. But when Pulse hits a penny, then we'll throw the biggest meetup of all.
Hey, it could happen. It could happen.
Great. Well, Johnny, I really appreciate you coming on and making this more of a gang. We were down to a duo.
Thank you for saving the night.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I'm glad I can be somewhat entertaining, even though I just tend to be overpowering.
Oh no, we love your takes, I
don't know. You've been pretty even tonight. You're playing with your zombies. You're good.
I'm playing with the zombies.
And those are new ones because they're different colors, right?
No, these are the same zombies. Same horde of zombies.
Well, good. So yeah, we got a bright future. No matter what the haters say, that it's been kind of the same noise all along. There's been a lot of crypto news today, and some things remain the same as they've always been. The truth engine in Hex is the same. People showing up for the community, being unpaid. Hex having the biggest conference out of any cryptocurrency, where we have the most YouTubers. That's the theme this year. So that was what was on the thumbnail here. And so save the date, January 6th through 9th, 2024 is rapidly approaching. We're about 50 days away from that. And if you want to be a speaker, go ahead and respond to your DMs. And now, where can people find you guys? Crispy?
Hiding, man.
Johnny's hiding. Okay. He's
Oh, go ahead.
Johnny traveled back to the first Hex conference background.
He went back.
Yeah.
Back to the future. Hey, come
Mhm.
visit Hexfire.io here on YouTube. Or Hexfire.io, the website. Woo!
For all your logistic information.
All your information. For all your best information. How about that?
He's got
And
charts
Crispy's-
upon charts upon charts of all charts of stuff that you probably didn't even know that existed. Charts.
I've got a chaos chart.
Is there a chaos chart?
And Crispy, you've been doing a lot of streams. Do you have a schedule? Do you go every day?
Well, Maddie, I could go every day, but I do hold back a little bit. So yeah, I have I'm typically right around 11 a.m. Daily is where I'm doing it. But look, it's hard doing this stuff, man. You try to keep up with the schedule, but yeah, my most consistent is every Friday, 11 a.m. for TShare Friday. But then I say that and I haven't done it. But yeah, go to the website, follow the Pulse Tube.
Beautiful. And make sure
announcements.
to check out if you don't have a hardware device yet to store your seed phrase. What are you doing? There's been like over 300 people who have used my link to get a Trezor. So go ahead and check that out in the description below. I put a lot of effort into the links in the description below, so you can find the normal guests who are on the show, their links, and much more. So check that out. Hit the like button, and thanks again for both of you being on. Until next time, stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.
Say crispy, man. See you.